Hey, welcome to the third season of the Kayak Bass Connection podcast, where we're celebrating the growing sport of kayak bass fishing and spotlighting our top anglers. So we are very proud to be the official podcast of the Southern Illinois Kayak Club Bass Tournament Trail. So tonight, that's exactly what we're going to talk about, the tournament trail into Southern Illinois, the sixth stop of the year. And man, it was a doozy. It was the most unique tournament that I've probably ever participated in. It was certainly, everything about this tournament was unique and a lot of challenges. So I'm very happy to have our three top finishers with us tonight. And we're going to dig in here in a few minutes and talk about how they handled all the different challenges that come up. So finishing first, absolutely probably the most frequent guest of the Kayak Bass Connection podcast, and first and second here. So Darren Hemker, welcome back, Darren.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Darren placed first with 89.75 inches, and he also, just to prove a point, took home the biggest bass award of the contest with a 20.5-inch big old fat bass. So that's awesome. Second place joining us tonight, coming off 3 wins in a row, finally proving his mortal, and finished second. Showing everybody why he is the 2024 Angler of the Year. May very well be the 2025 Angler of the Year, Dalton Williams. Welcome back, Dalton.
Thanks for having me again.
Hey, it's good to see you. By the way, Dalton finished at 88.75 inches. And third, another frequent returning guest is Kevin Cox. Kevin came in third, and we all know every time Kevin shows up, he's a threat to cash a check that day. So welcome back, Kevin.
It's good to be here. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. So, man, we were talking a little bit before we started recording that this was such a unique tournament. Just to start with, those that have never heard of Pyramid State Park, where this tournament was located, you hear at a state park and you think, oh, there's a lake probably there, and you can choose where you want to fish in the lake. Guys, how is this one different?
I think this was very, very strategy played into this one, very, very big.
Yeah.
Knowing where you were at and what you were going to do, and strategy, finding your hole was the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, because we're looking at, 40 bodies of water available to
I think it was 32. 32 is what our fishable number was. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, we're used to launching it pretty much the same ramp, or at least a couple ramps in the same body of water, and then you got a tournament on that single body of water. But tell me, how did you start approaching this months ago? Because I know this is something people have really been looking forward to, this tournament at Pyramid.
So personally, I've been to Pyramid before this year. I'd been there 2 or 3, 4 times maybe, and I never liked fishing it. Honestly, I don't really care for the way these lakes fish. I'm not a huge fan of it. And I started going there this year more just because I knew the tournament was upcoming, and trying to find a honey hole is really what I was looking for. And I never found one. I ended up fishing, I think I pre-fished 12 or 14 of the lakes, quite a few of them. And I spent a lot of hours out there. And in all of my pre-fishing, I never caught a single fish over 16 inches. So I really, really struggled all of pre-fish, and just pre-fished and pre-fished and pre-fished. And I'd go to 3 different lakes in a day. I'd go to all over the place and just never could find any size. So tournament day, I basically just found a lake that I talked to Dustin, and Dustin said he was going to the same lake. And I said, sounds good. Neither one of us have ever been there. And we showed up and we just started fishing it. I mean, the cards, I fished like crap, honestly. I lost so many fish. I was hooking into really nice fish and losing them at the boat. I lost my sunglasses at one point. I lost 1 over 20, at least 3 over 18 that day. I couldn't put them in the boat, and I got lucky and put enough in the boat to win, but I should have had way more than what I had.
Yeah, I lost 3 nice fish right at the boat. One of them, it was my fault. Hit him with the net in the wrong direction and knocked the lure out of his mouth. Oh, no. Sick. It was a nice fish too. Yeah, so definitely. So you pre-fished trying to find a honey hole, and there just wasn't a honey hole. And did you guys have the same experience, Dalton and Kevin, as far as your pre-fishing? Did any one lake? You don't have to tell us where that was, because that's pretty much giving up your spot. What did anything stick out at you when you pre-fished this?
Well, you know how I am for pre-fishing.
You don't like pre-fishing at all.
No. But I've been to Pyramid, I would say 10 to 15 times, and I found one that like you can get a limit easy all day, but the size wasn't there until Darren got the one I wanted. Then the last podcast, I mentioned that it was going to be either one on Super, Pintail, or Goldeneye, and two of the top three were at Super because that's where I was, and that was Kevin. Sorry, Kevin, if you want to keep that a secret or not.
There's no secrets up there. But no, I had pre-fished I hadn't been up there in 20 years, and I pre-fished the Monday before I went up to Super and found some fish and thought it was going to be a whole lot easier than what it was. And I just knew that if I was going to do good, the best thing for me to do would just be stay put and stay where I was at. So I found fish on Super on Monday, which always goes better in practice. I had a little over 90 inches in practice, and the day of the tournament, I still caught fish, but it was definitely tougher. I think the full moon had a little bit to do with that, but yeah, I fished Super in practice, and I fished there all day. I just made up my mind that's where I was going to be, and that's where I was going to stay.
Yeah, Kevin, you brought up a good point at how tough it was the day of the tournament versus maybe pre-fishing. I know some of the stats that I looked at here. Let me see here. If you put 5 fish on the board in this tournament, you finish in the top 10.
Wow.
Only the top 10 finishers had 5 fish. There was a lot of people. There were a few people with 0, 1, and 2, 3 fish, and all those people fished out the top 10. So definitely, nothing was on fire that day. I don't think, unless you guys.
It's still better than otter.
Still better than otter.
Yeah.
So when you guys showed up, were you kind of surprised at how many people were at the lake? You said a lot of you guys were. Some of you were on Super Lake. Was that a busy place?
I was at Super Lake that morning. Dalton was not, and it was me and 2 other kayaks, which I was blown away. I figured a ton of people would be there, but there was also 4 or 5 boat high school fishing tournament there that morning too, which they took off after we did, and so there really wasn't a whole lot of guys. I think that one of the guys maybe left and went home. Another guy didn't stay very long, and he went to another lake, and so basically, I didn't even see Dalton until he was pulling out. Basically, I had the lake to myself most of the day and where I wanted to fish. So I was blown away by that.
What kind of the conditions that you guys had to battle was, there's a lot of things going on there. So first of all, let's talk about the heat. I looked up the heat indices that day, and it was as high as 105 degrees. I know I was pretty miserable at points. Now, there was a breeze that kicked up, and I actually started catching more fish when the breeze started blowing. How'd you guys deal with the heat that day?
I'd like to give a shout out to Milwaukee Tools. I had a battery powered Milwaukee fan sitting right behind my head all day, so I used that to help.
Smart. Darren, your hair probably gave you somewhat of a shade,
oh,
right?
Yeah.
So you didn't have a lot to worry
That's
about
the
there.
natural umbrella right there is what that is.
That's what I'm talking about.
When I so I was on Westland Lake most of the day, and it's Westland Cut, I think is what it is. And the way I chose my lake is basically it had the most trees around it that looked like significant trees. So I was like, yep, that looks like shade. That looks like a lake I want to be on in 100-degree heat. So I went to Westland, and then I went to a second spot called Lake X, which is where Dalton was also fishing. I'm not allowed to release the name of that lake. But basically, I started out on the one lake, caught 2 really big fish. I caught the 20 there, and I caught a 19 and a half there. And then I had a limit, but it was all 14s or so. In my mind, I was like, I can go to Dalton's Lake, almost guarantee fill out my limit with 15s. That'll put me like 85 inches. I'd be happy with that. So I ended up going there and getting really, really, really lucky, and I picked up an 18 and a half to really put me above Dalton. That really helped me out a lot because he never found those bigger fish in his little lake there. It was pretty nice touch to be able to put a big one on instead of him putting it on.
So Dalton, did he catch that?
Helps.
Did you catch that 20 and a half incher on your lake?
I did catch the 20 on Westland Cut, yeah. So if you look at the map, I'm going to be very open here. I don't really care about fishing these lakes that much. I probably won't go back there unless I'm really bored. So
Banner
Westland
Marsh
Cut
is a
is,
lot better.
oh yeah, by far. But Westland Cut's a really cool little fishery because it's about a mile and a half long, super super skinny all the way back, and when you get to the very back of it, it opens up into this all these little. I mean, it's a strip mine, so there's all these little bitty hills everywhere. So the water's like 20 feet deep, and then it comes up to an 8 foot island, and then it drops back off to 20 feet. So every island out there, obviously can't see it, so you can see it with your sonar, is rock. So you're throwing on all this rock, and it's a very, very fun fishery because you're just dragging jigs. I was actually throwing a rocker head, and I was just dragging a rocker head along lead edges, and that's how I caught my big one and lost a lot more big ones. But it's so much fun just 'cause you're just dragging along rock, and there's not a whole lot of lakes we fish that you can truly fish rock. And dragging along rock, and all of a sudden you just feel, and that's a fish grabbing it every time. So. I caught the bigger one way down there at the end also. Both of my bigger ones came down there. And it came, I think it was about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I was like, man, I need to fill out my limit with some bigger fish here. So I made the move. It was a risky move, and I was going down the highway with all my rods still sticking up. I was going 30 mile an hour. All my rods fell over and out of the kayak, so I had 3 rods laying on the highway. Oh yeah,
Oh, good
that was
Lord.
cool. But I
Yes.
made it to the pond, made it to the lake, and I caught the rest of my fish, and it all played out nicely. And Josh got to that little lake a little later in the day. We're actually, 25, 30 minutes left in the tournament, I believe. Josh showed
If
up, and he
that.
was talking to Dalton. And I told Josh, I said, man, you got to come in here. The fish are biting like crazy. He told me, he said, do you think I can get a limit? I said, Josh, I've been here an hour and a half, and I've caught 26 fish. So, yeah, I think you can get a limit. So Josh got there, and he launched with 23 or 24 minutes left, and he lost a fish at the side of the kayak and caught 2 more. So he almost had his limit. He was 1 fish
Wow.
away from his 5 fish limit, but it's a super cool little fishery. It doesn't have a whole lot of big fish, but there's a ton of 14 to 16 inch fish. A bunch of them. Go
No.
ahead.
No, I'm just listening. Just saying my leg's good and all
How
that.
did I catch that? How did I catch the 18 and a half there, Dalton, right in front of you?
I don't want to talk about it.
There's one stick in this pond that sticks up. And I asked him, I said, hey, have you ever caught any fish off this stick, log, whatever you want to call it? He said, nope, never caught a fish off of it. And I shine over the live scope. It's in 5-6 feet of water. And I was like, huh, there's a mark on there. So I threw the jig over there, and it thumped it the first time. I hook set, took one of the claws off, and I'm like, dang, missed him. I looked over there and it's still on the tree. So I threw in there again, and it thumped it again, and I hooked it. And as soon as I hooked it, Dalton looked over and he says, oh, crap. Because we knew it was a much larger fish than 16 inches when it jumped, and got it in the kayak, and it was 18 and a half, and that put me over him. But when I caught it, he knew I was close to him, but he didn't know I was over him. So I told him I was a 1/4 inch short of his total. So he was convinced he had me beat still. So I kept fishing till the
Yeah.
last minute. Go back, didn't say a word about it. So he didn't find out until the award ceremony that I actually beat him by an inch.
Yeah, as soon as Josh said an inch, I'm like, oh, he was sandbagging.
I had to do it.
Yeah, it hurt my heart a little bit, but I still
A lot
like
of
all those
fun.
3rd place stickers under kayak.
3 of them in a year. Hurts.
3/3. Hey, it's a check, right? It's a check.
Oh, yeah. I'll take one every time.
Yeah. So, some of the other things that I ran into was no vegetation at all. This time of year, almost all the lakes that we have tournaments on are highly, have a lot of grass on them. And the 2 lakes that I ended up on, there was almost zero. I would say almost zero because there was a few little clumps, but they were so shallow, there was nothing in them. But that was just so different for me because you guys mentioned Banner Marsh, which is of course in the north central part of Illinois, Peoria like area. And I had went up to Banner Marsh the weekend before because it's only an hour from my house versus Pyramid being 3.5 hours. And so I thought, well, okay, this is kind of how this is going to fish. And I got down there and it just blew my mind because it was nothing.
Pyramid's so weird the way it sets up, too, because you can go lake to lake there, and they're totally different environments. So the lake I was on, Westland Cut, tons of vegetation all the way down the banks to about 8 feet deep, and then it's all rock. And then you go to some other lakes like Dalton's Little Pond, super muddy water, no vegetation at all, and they're both within 3-4 miles of each other. It's amazing that certain lakes are covered in grass. You can't even hardly pedal sometimes, and then certain lakes don't have any grass at all. And then the water clarity, that's crazy. A lake called Ringneck there is probably one of the clearest ones I've been on in the state. I was on the lake on a calm day, and I felt like I was floating in the air because the water is so clear, easily 15 to 20 feet, I'd say. Like I was dropping a crappie jig down and watching bluegill eat it, and I look over at my graph, and I'm at 15, 16 feet, like stupid clear. And then Merganser Lake down there, I was on that one pre-fishing. I did catch one night like 15.5-inch fish, and had a really nice fish try to eat the Nico rig out of its mouth there. But the deepest spot on that lake is 96 feet.
Jeez.
I've never seen anything like that in the state. Like, and that lake's only 26 acres, so it's super small and it's just super deep. But the lakes down there, if you've never fished lakes like that, you gotta try it. They're super cool, but the fishing can be really tough. I mean, really tough.
So Kevin, what kind of cover did you run into where you were at?
There's sparse grass. There's not a whole lot of grass on Super. I don't think there is some, but mostly it was random rock and stuff like that. That's where I caught my fish. The water was not clean at all. Had a good stain color to it, which was odd to me because it's like Darren said, they're all different. The last time that I fished Super 20 years ago, I mean, it was gin clear. You could see way down in the water, and it was not like that this time. But there was some grass. It seemed like the fish that I did catch by the grass was on the outside edge of it, which was only about 5 or 6 foot deep. Nothing real deep.
So you're known as a dedicated tube fisherman. Did your tube come out at some point?
The tube was out all day.
All right.
I actually caught I think the first fish I caught that morning was like 17 3/4, and it was clear in the back of a pocket. I caught it on a tube. I think every fish that I submitted to the leaderboard was on a tube. I caught a few fish on a jig that day, but I think you heard me say it before, between 6 inches deep and 8 foot deep, that tube is just my confidence bait. Everything that day was no deeper than about 4 to 6 foot deep that I caught. So yeah, I pretty well fished it all day. It was a lot tougher fishing that day than what it was on Monday. So I just put it in my hand, and that's what I threw all day.
Now, Darren, you mentioned something earlier that you live scoped up the big fish. Is that right?
I live scoped up in 18.5, so I didn't catch my big fish on live scope. No.
Okay. Well, we have yet to have a tournament winner come on and say, I won this tournament thanks to my live scope. So do you feel confident saying that today, or do you think it just contributed maybe to one or two?
I do think the live scope won me the tournament, but it was only one fish. Because without the live scope, I wouldn't have even thrown at that tree probably. I mean, it's a very good spot to throw at. Just statistically, bass sit on structure a lot. But I wouldn't have made that cast because I hadn't caught a fish off that wood ever. And I've thrown at it every time I fished that pond. And
see? Same with me.
I just got lucky, honestly. I'm not going to lie about it. I got really lucky and caught one fish at the right time. That really helped. Earlier in the day, me and Jonathan Kessler, we were on the back of Westland, and there's a bunch of those little hills I was talking about, and we were sitting off the edge of one. I was fishing the grass line against the bank, and he was fishing the island, and he caught an 18. He kind of live scoped. We could see the fish swimming on top of it. He caught an 18. He threw back in there and caught another 18. So I circled around the backside of it and threw the rocker head, I believe, over the top of it and was dragging the rocker head over. Well, that's whenever I hung into the 19.5. So that the live scope sort of helped there, but I think somebody that with side scan could have found it, but live scope definitely helped me find it. So I caught two fish, I'd say, that really were contributed or were caught because of live scope, I'd say.
Looking up this rocker head jig. Okay, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a football head and a little line tie, and it's just swing head. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Swing head jig. I've
always called them rocker heads, and it's basically just a Texas rig, is all it is. But I I feel like that head mobility makes that bait dance a little bit more, and I get more bites off of it. And I got way more confidence in that than a Texas rig.
Well, confidence is everything. I ran into that but myself. I struggled all morning, and then I went back to Mallard Lake, and I thought, I'm just going to finish my day here. I think I had 2 hours left, 2.5 hours left. And I threw a variety of things all day long, but finally I had to go back to something I had confidence in because I'd started to lose confidence in what was going on. So I put in my shaky head, which is one of my favorite baits. The very first cast with my shaky head, I brought in, it was, I don't remember how big it was. It wasn't very big. It was like maybe 14 inches or something, but it was something to put on the board, which for that didn't happen. So I spent the rest of the afternoon. I probably caught 12 fish, and only one other one was actually big enough to go on a board and go on a leaderboard. It's crazy. They're all 11 and a half inches long, but it's all about what you have confidence in. I think at some point, it's hard to relate in how you having confidence with a bait can help you get a bite in the water. It's crazy, but it's true.
I think you fish it different. So if you have a lot of confidence in a bait, you fish it like you're going to catch a fish. If you don't have confidence in a bait, you're like, oh, this is terrible. I'm not going to catch anything. And you're not fishing it nearly as intensely as you'd be fishing a bait that you really have a lot of confidence in.
Yeah, it could
so
be
like a chatterbait, I have all the confidence in the world in a chatterbait. I'm going to throw that in the best spot I possibly can every single time I can. Same thing with a jig, same thing with a rocker head. I mean, I have a lot of confidence in a lot of different baits now. And if you don't have confidence in a bait, so there's certain baits like, say, a tube or a crankbait, I have so little confidence in either one of those baits. Like, I could fish it all day long and probably not catch a fish on it, or get lucky and catch one or two. I don't have confidence in those types of baits, the way I fish. It's amazing.
Just go to my lake to test out a lure. That's what on the chatterbait. I went to that lake, and that's what built my confidence on a chatterbait was because of that lake. That's why I started going to chatterbait.
Perfect. It is a perfect chatterbait lake for the way I like fishing a chatterbait. I love paralleling structure with a chatterbait. It is so this lake has reeds on it, so you parallel the reeds, and the bass just come out of the reeds and smoke your chatterbait. Same as like Newton, similar to Newton. That Newton is so much fun because of the reeds. I love Newton just to fish reeds. I'm going there and I'm catching 16 to 18 inch fish on reeds all day. I am the happiest man on the lake every day. I don't care if I catch a single 20 inch fish. I catch my 16 to 18 throwing chatterbaits and flipping the reeds. I'm so happy out there.
This is our 41st episode of the podcast, and so probably 30 of those have been tournament recaps. And I think of all the tournament recaps, I need to go back and write down some stats, but I think the chatterbait probably by far has been the most successful bait on this tournament trail. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, it's so versatile. I mean, you can throw it where there's a timber. You can throw a chatterbait over the tops of timber. You can throw a chatterbait through grass. You can throw it where there's no grass. You can throw it everywhere, and there's not many baits you can do that with that you truly have high odds at catching big fish and small fish. You catch all types of fish, honestly.
Kessler even fished it at Cedar the last time, throwing it in like 15, 16 foot of water, letting it sit on the bottom and then jerking it up off the bottom. And that's how he caught his fish that day.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
I think it's one of the best baits ever invented, period. Like, that's got to be top 2 on my list, top 3 maybe. Jig and chatterbait are my top 2, I'd say. I mean, it's hard to beat.
But going back to what you said just a little bit ago about what Darren said about fishing a bait that you've got confidence in, how you fish it different. I think it's awesome how that, when you have these podcasts with the top 3 guys, usually the top 3 guys are fishing something, maybe fishing the same bait, but be fishing it in a different way that they have confidence in, and how that there's not just one lure that, that gets everybody here. It's pretty neat how that, all 3 of us fished completely different that day, and, here we are. Yeah. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I have zero confidence in Darren's lure and Kevin's lure. I have zero confidence in that.
And what, the chatterbait in the tube?
Yeah, weren't you throwing the rocker head?
Oh yeah, rocker head.
I'm sorry.
I got lucky and picked that up.
Yeah, Kevin.
That is a catfish slaying bait. If you want to catch some catfish, go to Westland and I was throwing was it black and purple flake actually? So it's kind of like a June bug color, but it's a true black or plastic, but then it's got purple flake in it. And I was throwing that, and I think I caught 3 catfish in Westland. No, 4 catfish in Westland, and I caught one in Dalton's Lake too. I caught a flathead, I caught a yellow belly, and I caught a channel cat, all within like 30 minutes of each other. Something about that bait just triggers them. The biggest one was that channel cat had to be well over 10 pounds. And I threw up underneath the tree, and that line started swimming, and I wasn't paying attention, and my rod tip just started yanking down, and I hook set. And when you hook set into a fish like that, that's 10 plus pounds, you about lose the rod because I hook set and I was not ready for that. I thought I had another big one, and my big one of the day, that was hilarious. I threw in there, caught like a 13 on the edge. There's like a point that comes out, a rock point, and I threw on the edge of the grass, caught like a 13. I threw back in there and hook set and lost one of my claws, and I was like, dang, I don't feel like putting a new one on yet. So I threw right back in there and felt a little tap, and I hook set, and it just kind of slowly came up to the surface, and I netted it and didn't realize really how big it was. And as soon as I netted it, the fish lost its mind and went crazy in my net. But it didn't fight at all because it didn't even know what happened, I guess. But it was so funny because I just kind of lifted the rod and it was in the net, and I was like, okay, I guess that's cool. I might go back to that Westland. That Westland's a really cool little lake, especially if you like fishing rock and like fishing wood. And the cheese or the moss on the outside edge, I call it cheese, the way that stuff sets up, was so much fun to frog. I only had one frog fish, and it was a decent fish, probably 17 plus inch fish. But I can't believe the frog bite wasn't on there because that moss was perfect for frogging.
So, Dalton, what would you describe as your confidence baits? I can take a guess just by interviewing you so many times, but what would you describe?
Senko, chatterbait, crankbait. Those are my 3 confident baits. You hate 2 of them. I know that for sure.
I don't understand how anybody throws a Senko. I have zero faith in a Senko.
They just flat work.
Terrible bait.
It just sinks to your throat slow for you, Darren?
I throw a Nico rig, which is even slower than the dang Senko, I swear, but something about a Senko I have no faith in. It doesn't look like anything that a fish wants to eat, in my opinion. Obviously, it's catching a ton of fish, but I can't stand it. I won't throw it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think those are probably caught. The chatterbait may be close now, but they've probably caught more. There's probably been more Senko bait fish caught than anything else. See single lure, I bet. So many people fish them, and they just keep they fish them because they work.
It's hard so the hardest part about a Senko, in my opinion, is it's hard to target big fish with a Senko. Something about a chatterbait, you can target big fish with it. Like I've caught a ton of 5+ pound fish on chatterbaits. I haven't caught a whole lot of 5+ pound fish on a Nico rig, and it's similar to a Senko. Obviously, it's a little different, but it's a similar bait profile, and I don't catch nearly as many big fish. And if I do catch big fish, it's more because I've caught 20 or 30 other fish and then just so happen to catch one big one. Where with the chatterbait, some days I'll go, especially in like the spring, and I'll catch 15, 20 fish, and they're all 17 plus inches. It's just something about a chatterbait really calls big fish.
Yeah, have you ever seen a story about the development of the chatterbait?
I guess I have.
If you haven't, it's really worth it looking up on YouTube or something. It's kind of amazing. It was over, one guy developed it over like 15, 20 years. And finally, he just kept making changes and hit the jackpot and then sold the rights to it. So it's
a
amazing
killer
story. Yeah.
Especially that Evo. Man, oh man, that Evo is a killing bait.
That's the best chatterbait ever made.
You may not know
I think
this,
it beats jackhammer.
The chatterbait is probably the best nighttime fishing bait that there is.
Really?
It is fantastic. Oh my gosh, it's insane. Actually learned that. I lived on a 100-acre lake in Arkansas and had my boat in the backyard, and I fished every single night. And you'd take a 3/8, depending on water depth, but about a 3/8 ounce chatterbait with a Uncle Josh pork frog on the back of it. Because if you didn't put pork on the back of it, they'd steal your trailers all night long. But chatterbait is hands down probably my favorite nighttime fishing bait. you put a black and blue chatterbait on, and you have a blast all night long. It's really a cool bait. As a matter of fact, talking about where I was living at in Arkansas, those guys used to make their bladed jigs themselves with Colorado spinnerbait blades, and so they were they would flatten the blades and bend them in certain ways, and they were making their own bladed jigs. And this has been years ago. I mean, it was 2000 and about 2008, 2009 when I lived in Arkansas, and they had been doing that for several years, making their own baits, fishing them at night, and that's kind of how I got turned on to catching them at night on it. But it's such a peculiar bait. It's really cool.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google search. This chatterbait was invented by Ron Davis. He started in the early 2000s. First one went for sale in 2004. I know they kept changing. Originally, Ron Davis had it, and then he sold it right to Z-Man. Yeah, interesting.
I bought a thing at I don't remember where I bought it actually, but it was a chatter stick. So it was made by Z-Man. This has been, I think it was like 2007, 8, 9, something like that. And it was basically like a jerk bait without a bill, and it had a chatterbait blade on it. And I want to buy another one, but I've looked them up online. And they're like $100 because they're like basically antiques now because they don't make them anymore. Yeah, I remember fishing it in a pond, and I ended up breaking it off on a fish. But I remember catching a ton of fish on it. But I was also 14, 15 years old whenever I was throwing it. So I didn't really know what I was doing at the time versus now I kind of have somewhat of a semblance of an idea. I'm getting good at it.
Yeah.
I've even got some 16th ounce ones that I've caught a lot of crappie on. The crappie will tear those little bitty ones up. It's kind of cool.
I've never tried that.
That'd be even smaller than that Mini Max, right? That would be.
Oh yeah, it's tiny. Yeah.
Well,
maybe I need to start bringing that to the tournaments and start fishing that. Maybe I'll beat these two yahoos one time.
Darren, you need to fish that. You need to bring that knuckle bait to my pond, or I guess the lake.
I can actually catch fish on there. That knuckle bait. Dalton was throwing. You were throwing the willow. What was it? The
willow.
What was the one you were throwing?
Or
yeah, was it willow? I don't know it's got a longer blade on it. I don't know I don't know what it's called. It's just a jig head, and you have to put your own swim bait on it, right?
I think it's willow vibe.
Is it? I personally have never had good luck with them, but didn't you say you had to reel it slower or something?
Yeah, like you had to creep it.
I might have to start throwing that because I got a couple of them. I started throwing them and they always blew out on me, and they would start spinning.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that. Yeah,
you just have to creep it. And what I've noticed is you have to get the heaviest set to keep it down low.
Really?
Because as you're reeling it slow, it wants to rise up.
I've seen some videos, and I bet that would work great for live scope because I can throw a really heavy bait down there and then slow reel it and let it creep and vibrate like that. I bet that would work really good on a live scope. I'm excited. I'm getting all geared up for smallmouth again here at the beginning of September. We're going back up north, and I'm excited for it. Dalton's not going to make that one. Somebody decided he wants to do other stuff instead of go smallmouth fishing.
I have a wedding, and I'm best man.
That's your problem.
Kind of important.
You like me, don't have friends.
Skip a tournament? Didn't you skip a tournament because of a wedding?
That was my brother. That's a totally different story. You can't miss family.
So you guys mentioned smallmouth. So this was the first tournament that we anticipated someone might actually have a smallmouth on the leaderboard. I didn't see any. Did you guys hear anybody catch?
I don't think it happened.
Okay.
So I think isn't Super Lake the only lake?
Yeah.
Did not happen.
I don't know if anybody caught any.
Only hope.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody caught any muskie that day, but I know that they said that some guys caught some sauger.
Yeah. I had a muskie that I didn't catch him, but he just surfaced right next to my kayak. I have no idea why, but he was huge, absolutely huge. Pretty much looked at me, flipped me off, and went back underwater. Like, what the hell was that? But I tell you what, I was on canvasback. Canvasback.
Yep, canvasback.
There was more life in the water there. There's more forage than I had ever seen in a body of water before. The whole lake was moving. But I almost think it was working against you because everybody was struggling to catch anything on there. I think there was just too much food. There were
I've been there
There were
4 or 5
shad.
times, and it's always like that. There's always
It's
tons of
crazy.
life, and the shock survey is great, but I've never had good luck. I don't think I've ever caught a bass there ever. I mean, it sets up nice,
caught
and
one.
I never can figure them out. Even crappie there, I go there crappie fishing sometimes because it's got gigantic crappie, and I don't think I've ever caught more than 5 crappie over 10 inches. I mean, if I
Mhm.
do catch a crappie, it's 13 or 14 inches, but you don't catch a whole lot of small ones. It's weird. It's a weird lake. I don't know why it fishes like that.
Yeah, I could see why it would have a good muskie population if they, with the stockings, because there's just a lot of food everywhere in there, and you literally go, what is it, 100, maybe 100 yards separating that from mallard, and mallard has not even a quarter of the visible forage
Really.
the canvasback did. That's kind of why I ended up going back to mallard, because I thought I can't catch anything here because there's too much to eat. So I went to a place where there was less forage and actually ended up catching a big fish.
If anybody wants to fish a really cool lake there, go to Bufflehead is what it's called. So the lake is 15, 20 acres, maybe a little more, and it's just a big circle. So the big circle like that, and they planted cypress trees around the whole entire thing, bunches
Wow.
and bunches of cypress trees. So you go there and fish it, and all these cypress trees are really young, so they're all probably less than 2 foot in diameter, but they're all 15, 20, 30 feet off the bank, way out off the bank. So there's tons of water behind them, and these cypress trees sit way out in the middle, but they're all in 4 or 5 feet of water. So I was going along there, flipping the rocker head. I bet I caught 30 or 40 fish in like an hour and a half. They were all 12 to 15 inches, but it was so much fun to flip standing wood like that, live wood. I felt like I was in Louisiana. I was
Yeah, and
sending
cypress
videos to
trees
Dustin. It was super cool.
Yeah, cypress trees in Illinois. That's something you usually don't put together.
It was a very cool fishery.
Well, so looking ahead in the schedule, guys, after your great performance down there in Pyramid, so Newton is the last event of the regularly scheduled event, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So I know
and guess
Darren's
who's
not
not
going
going
to
to
be
there?
there because he's got a wedding to be in, right?
No, so I won't be in Newton because I got to go up to Canada and work.
Oh,
But
you're going to work. Okay.
this will be my first Southern Illinois Kayak Club Angler of the Year point tournament. Actually, like tournament. I've never missed one since I started in the club. This will be the first. It hurts a lot,
Yeah.
especially Newton. I love Newton.
Jobs will ruin that for you.
I know. I got to go to Canada. I got to go hunting.
There you go. Awesome. So Dalton and Kevin, you guys both going to make that tournament?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about.
I'm still deciding on it, honestly. But
Dalton's
it's more
already
likely
won
I
it.
am going to.
You're thinking about not fishing that one, Dalton?
Yeah, but
right.
then what Darren just said, then it
He's
kinda
already
puts
got
pressure on me.
AOI.
Oh yeah.
Nobody's close. I mean, like he has
Yeah,
3 firsts and a second. Like I'm the only one that feasibly could get even close, and I would have to win one more, and I'm still 3 points behind him. So he's got that pretty locked up.
I'm at 199 points for 4 tournaments.
Jeez.
I think I'm at 194. So he's got me beat.
I feel like you're higher than that.
Nah, 194. I got 3/3 into the first.
So if both you two stay home from the tournament, I'm thinking my chances just went up dramatically. If you guys, I could get a couple more guys to stay down in way farther southern Illinois.
I can't remember. I'll pull it up on my phone real quick. Something that Dustin had put out the other day, but I want to say that the points are so close that basically anybody in the top 20 could end up being in the top 5 after the Newton.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Then there's people in the top 5 that might not go. Like
yeah,
Darren,
so I won't be there 100%. So it's just, my spot's going to roll down.
Yeah, so that automatically goes 6th place.
Yeah.
And so they released the lake. As long as everything stands the way it is, the lake for Crossroad, I believe is called Higgins Lake or Higdon's Lake, something like that. It's up in northern Michigan. It's a smallmouth lake. Super, super clear water. Nothing but smallmouth. Super deep. I'm really upset I'm not going to be making that one. That lake looks like a lot of fun.
Is it farther than Fletcher's?
Roughly the same. It's actually a little closer because Fletcher's was way off the path. You had to go down a lot of small highways and stuff. This one's right on a major highway. Yeah, actually, if you're going to like the UP through the main state, you go right by it.
Oh, okay.
It's not. It's much further than like Muskegon, where we're going. I guess you're not going to that one, but where Muskegon is where my next tournament is up there, and that's on September 6th for the KVT. Me and Dustin and Kessler and Susie are going up there, and should be a good one. Muskegon's connected to the Lake Michigan, so that'll be a really, really cool fishery. Hopefully we can go beat up on some
What
smallies.
was
There's
the
some
date
big
on that
largemouth in
one?
there too. September 6th.
6th.
And then we have our KBT on Caffeine on August 30th. So back-to-back weekends. That's not going to be fun.
So how many teams will be on Caffeine?
Caffeine, it's only 4 teams total.
So 16 anglers. That's not bad. But that lake gets hit pretty hard all the time anyway. Tournaments.
I think Caffeine might be my favorite lake in Illinois.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, it's pretty kayak friendly. It's got decent facilities there and everything. So and good bass, that's for sure.
Since we're below our below the 20 people minimum to have to get a permit or whatever, I told the guys too. I'm gonna be like, hey, north ramp's open, so you can go north or north ramp to that little area up there, or the main lake. Whatever you want to fish, go fish it. I mean, it's gonna be very open. Wherever you want to fish, go catch them. As long as it's legal water, obviously.
Yeah, because that northern area has always been has been off limits for our tournaments, right? So we've never really been able to fish there.
I've only fished it once. The only time I fished it, I didn't have great fishing up there. I mean, it was okay. I think Reese won that tournament. It was a 3-fish tournament. I think he had 318s or something like that. He was pretty close to 60 inches, but I did my math right. No, 56 inches. 56. I'm not good at math. My math teacher lied to me. I have a computer. Yeah, my math teacher lied to me. I have a calculator in my pocket at all times now. So he always said you wouldn't have a calculator in your pocket. I got one. So he's lied.
All right. So I'm going to do this last thing here. So I'm going to give each one of you to ask a question of one of the other people on this podcast. So I almost don't want to start with Darren and Dalton because I know where that's going to go. So let me start with Kevin. Kevin, if you could ask either one of these other two guys that finished in the top 3, you could ask them a question that you've always wondered, could be about life or about fishing, what would it be?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Let me ask Dalton because he doesn't like to pre-fish. Dalton, what do you do to mentally prepare for these tournaments? You've won 3 of these this year. You don't pre-fish. You show up the day of the tournament. How do you mentally get yourself prepared to go?
Man, honestly, get as much knowledge as you can from other guys in the club that's pre-fished. And honestly, they tell me the stuff and I just disregard it anyways. I don't know why. I don't know why.
That is honesty. Like, I love it.
Thanks for the knowledge. And I'm like sitting there, like tournament day, I'm like, I'm not going to do a dang thing what they told me to do. I'm just going to fish my normal 3 lures, the Cinco, Chatter, and Crankbait, since those are my 3 confident lures. And I just fun fishing at that point. Try to get my money back. That's my mindset. Get your money back.
I think there's a lot to be said for that simplification. All right, Dalton. So it's your turn since you're the one that got asked the question. So if you could ask either one of these gentlemen a question, fishing or life, what would it be?
All right, Kevin. What other confident lures do you have? Because the only confident lure I know is the tube and the chatterbait. Is that the only 2?
Not necessarily. Probably my second most confidence lure would be a jig. I just always feel like when I'm throwing a jig, I'm going to catch good fish. And so, other than the tube, I would say jig would be my next confident. I'm old. I like to fish slow.
Well, there's a reason why jig has been so popular for so many years, right? So it's just it's got a learning curve to it. I've been playing with a lot more with jigs myself the last couple of years, and they definitely have a learning curve. You got to be able to get that confidence in it. All right, Darren, what do you think? Who do you want to ask a question to?
So these two have both had a question. I got a better question for you here, Jared. If you had one day, perfect day of fishing, you can catch fish on whatever bait you want to. You get one bait. What's your favorite way to catch fish? Your number one favorite way to actually catch fish. You get to make them bite on anything you want.
Yeah, it'd be a crankbait.
Crankbait, really? Very interesting.
Yeah, it's not. I don't have the most confidence in it, but definitely enjoy
Like a
it.
square bill, or are you talking like a deeper diver?
Probably a rattle trap.
Really?
Yeah,
I was
rattle
not
trap.
expecting that. That is very interesting.
Well, there's more to that story though. So a couple of years ago, I started painting crankbaits, and so that's got a lot to do with it too. So I think when you kind of feel like you've got two victories if you can catch something on a bait that you kind of crafted out of nothing, So
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's certainly not the most effective probably way for me to fish, but I get more satisfaction out of it.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I've been trying to do a video, kind of a little tutorial on some of the paint jobs, but it's just kind of hard to. I just haven't come. I haven't been satisfied with what I've been able to record yet. So one of these days.
Yeah. Well, if you decide to put any of your content out from when me and you were fishing at Coffeen, wait until after the 30th. Because that's where I'm going to be fishing that day. That was kind of a cool day when we fished that team tournament. I was able to call Jared to where I was fishing at, and he come over and was able to fill out his limit too. And I think you caught some on a crankbait and a worm.
Yeah, crankbait.
Whoa, easy! Don't be telling baits.
Yeah.
Not for coffee.
Yeah.
Don't be telling all our baits.
Head out.
Yeah, edit, bleep it.
Bleep.
That's one thing I've changed on this show. I spending too much time doing editing, man. If you say it now, it's going to be on the internet.
No,
guys, I appreciate all the time that you guys have dedicated to coming on the podcast tonight. You're all amazing fishermen. Every time I see one of you guys, if you're near me, I'm like, okay, I'm in the right spot anyway. So congratulations again, guys, on a fantastic performance. I can't wait to have you, all three of you, back on.
Appreciate you doing this.
Yep.
You're welcome.
yeah, I love listening to them. They're awesome. Even if I'm on them, I love listening to them. Maybe that's not exactly a great mental thing. Listen to myself talk, but
that's right. Nobody else is listening to you, so
yeah, Lord knows it.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.